Wow. Okay. So we've talked about the Switch 2 floodgates now that look like they're about to open here pretty soon with the big event coming up tomorrow to unveil Nintendo's next-gen system. But now it kind of seems like those floodgates are about to explode open completely because Nintendo has now started to announce events even after their Switch 2 reveal tomorrow. And on top of that, we're getting information around the ability for the system, if it can or cannot output 4K. We're getting information about the Pro Controller, and they decided also to tease that C button once again that sort of is letting on exactly what it's for, and just a lot to go over, which it's going to be this way. I'm telling you, as after this event happens, there's going to be tons of stuff coming out. Probably multiple videos in a day will become more normalized, I feel like, with all the stuff. So if you're trying to keep up with all the Switch 2 stuff, yeah, just go ahead and subscribe now. And tomorrow morning, I will have a live stream going on starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the Switch 2 event, and we'll be just seeing what Nintendo has for us. So I'll actually link that down below in the description and in the pinned comment if you want to go ahead and just set a reminder and follow along there. But otherwise, I'll have a reaction even after that. But hey, if you guys enjoy the Switch 2 coverage in this video, make sure you hit the like button before you head out. First, though, let's head over here. This is over on Nintendo Life, and you know, I saw this and I immediately got kind of there's that waft of E3 in the air at that point, which, I don't know, depending on how many people are packed in there and the time of day, it might not be the best waft, but you get the idea, right? It's like, hey, here we go with Nintendo starting to set up things that they would do during those big trade shows. And in this case, they will be having multiple days of Treehouse Live. Now, the event tomorrow will be 60 minutes long. Like, that was shared, so about what I was expecting. I figured it'd be an hour long. They have to go over the system itself, the features, UI, OS, show all of that off, and then, of course, the games, accessories, release date, pricing, maybe stuff with NSO. There is a lot that they have to at least get out there, and that's what I mean when I say there's going to be a ton of information going around, so a lot of stuff to keep up on. But they won't necessarily have to sit down and play all these different games during that 60 minutes because they'll have two different Treehouses happening, all right? So April 3rd and April 4th. So we're looking at Thursday and Friday. Now they have it set here at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And interestingly enough, in that Nintendo Today app, which this app, by the way, is really proving itself to be more and more useful every day now, actually shared that we're going to see a 4-hour and a 3-hour Treehouse. So 7 hours total time, which, if you remember the Treehouse from E3, it was multiple days. So they would kind of do this. They'd have their E3 Direct, and then they would have several days in a row of Treehouse where they would sit down, play the games for extended periods of time on the Switch, and then they would also have typically a developer, somebody from the company behind the game, sitting down with the people at the Treehouse, talking about it, maybe making like other little announcements here or there, like, oh, there's native voice chat in Fortnite. You don't need the app. You can just plug your headphones and microphone in. That was a big thing. Or they've even announced games outright at the Treehouse before. That's where Samus Returns came from. It was actually during a Treehouse. And amiibos, accessories, all that stuff. So the Treehouse, while they'll be showcasing games that have already been announced, there's probably a ton of new information that'll be coming out of that. And of course, it'll be fun just to see Switch 2 games in general with live gameplay. So from there, I mentioned this Nintendo Today app. Well, there's actually something else they put out. It's like 10 seconds long, but it actually then applied a sound effect to the C button, which you can hear it here. And now, because of that sound effect, people are looking at this as some sort of, yes, communication, chat, some sort of app in the way of being able to talk with other people. And yeah, I feel like that's what we've kind of expected for a while, though. It's like, is it community? Is it chat? Is it cast? I kind of think it's a little bit of everything. I still believe this is some sort of game bar of some kind, whether it's a wheel that comes up or a bar across the bottom or a menu that slides in from the side. I think it's going to be something that then leads to multiple options. And yes, voice chat of some kind will be part of it, but it will be more or less centered around the idea of social features, we'll say, interacting with other people, maybe even other Switch systems. There's a lot of things I'm sure coming out of that, and I can't necessarily believe that it's for one specific function. It'd be kind of strange if that's what a button on the controller was specifically dedicated to. Oh, it's to bring up a chat menu. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I feel like they could have worked that in without needing a separate button just for that. So I kind of think there's more to it. I mean, technically you have the snapshot button, but then they also applied things like pressing and holding for recording video clips and stuff. So even that button does play into a bit more than just taking screenshots technically. So from here, we also have some information around the Pro Controller, and this still kind of plays into the community stuff because it's been found that the Pro Controller appears to have a headphone jack, and this was spotted over on Fanboards with this FCC filing where they were testing a game controller with model number BEE008, and that is believed to be the Switch 2 Pro Controller. Well, they have a diagram here that shows it plugged into the wall with an AC adapter and being tested with what looks like C, and if you look down here, earphones MDR EX255AP, which are these wired Sony headphones. So if they're testing the wired headphones plugged into the controller that's then charging into the wall, there you go, there should be a headphone jack there. And that's exciting because that it's something that has been missing from obviously the Switch for quite some time. Just the ability to have native voice chat at a system level, not even like game by game basis, because it is like, again, Fortnite, you can play that, plug in some headphones with a microphone, a headset, and you're off and running. But Nintendo themselves to recognize it beyond their phone app that I just don't really think gets that much use. Let me know in the comments if you use that phone app. I'm genuinely curious if that is something that people are using day to day with some of these online multiplayer games. But I just think at this point, with the parental controls that they have built into the phone app, and maybe even more so here, it's like, yeah, just go ahead and open it up to the audience and then let the parents decide if the kids get a headset or something for playing online. So the other thing that came up with the Switch 2, and there's a lot of concern around this, was the idea that it wouldn't have 4K output, and it's more or less from dev kits. Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson, talking with some of the developers at GDC, seemed to find some saying that their dev kit didn't have 4K output. Well, they did at least explain, hey, dev kits change quite frequently for some of these larger developers and publishers, these big companies. They'll get different iterations of dev kits as they go along, and they won't necessarily have all the features there right away. It's just part of being, in that case, an early adopter for being able to create your game for the Switch 2 and have it out much earlier in its life cycle than some of the other partners who apparently don't even have dev kits yet. So we'll see how that turns out. But like your Capcoms, Bandai Namco, Square Enix and stuff, they all have, I'm sure, dev kits and have had actually multiple dev kit refreshes at this point. But turns out the system will indeed have 4K. Go figure. The Switch 2 dock uses a Realtek RTD2175N CG DisplayPort V1.4 to HDMI 2.1 protocol over converter. So that means, yes, 4K 60 support. This once again discovered over on Fanboards. They couldn't seem to find a one-to-one comparable for this chipset specifically from Realtek, but they found one that was kind of comparable, and yes, it would do 4K 60. Even they were mentioning up to 8K 60, but let's keep our feet on the ground here for the Switch 2 a little bit at least. But I would expect them to take advantage of that with different games and stuff, and of course upscaled, most likely 4K. I'm sure there will be some native 4K titles, and I'm thinking like smaller indie games, stuff, things that aren't as graphically intensive, but otherwise I'm sure they'll be utilizing DLSS, as we've discussed multiple times now with this NVIDIA chip. And that's the thing that I'm really interested in right now, excited even, is the technical side of things, to see what NVIDIA can come up with now with something that has been proven to be successful and set up custom for the Switch 2. Not the off-the-shelf X1 that was, I mean, kind of dated, but like it was the best option for Nintendo at that time. It had seen some refreshes and iterations, but nothing that was like, oh, this is going next level like we're seeing with the Switch 2, which is significantly more powerful than the current Switch, just based on the different specifications getting out there around the RAM speed and what we assume to be the teraflop count and everything else, and the fact that it would utilize some of the newer features from NVIDIA, like DLSS. This is going to be very, very intriguing to see what Nintendo's first party can do, especially as I'm sitting here playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. It's still hamstrung by the Switch's older technology now, but I'm thinking, okay, what can Monolith Soft do with the Switch 2 after seeing what they're doing right now with the current Switch. It's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to me is still like one of the more impressive things that they've done. And now I'm thinking, wow, if they move to the Switch 2, what can they do there? While I think it's cool that they do these big open world setups, I think it'd be interesting to see them maybe lean into the idea of more interactive environments with those large areas. And maybe the Switch 2 can allow them to do that. So, yeah, a lot of really cool things to look forward to here. Situations where people were concerned about 4K seems to be mostly alleviated at this point. And now we're kind of hanging out and waiting. But I got to say, things just keep dropping all over the place. So this should be the last video that I make until the live stream. But who knows? Maybe some big game drops. Maybe we hear about there being, I don't know, like Cyberpunk's coming to the Switch too. Would that be crazy if tomorrow they had Cyberpunk show up at the event and it was running natively on the Switch too? I mean, I know the game's a bit older now, but it would still be very interesting if that popped up and to see the Switch 2 handling it relatively well, especially if it had like ray tracing and stuff on it. So you never know what could pop up is what I'm saying. But for now, I think we're good until tomorrow morning for the event. And it should be a lot of fun. Nintendo kicking off their next generation. Treehouse is the whole thing. It kind of has a little bit of that E3 feel to it, like I said, and that's exciting. But let me know what you guys think about all this down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.